Earlier today, when this story first popped up on Billy Embody's timeline on Twitter, covers SMU, also has coverage of Ole Miss too, I was like, wait, what? Jay Hartzell leaving Texas to become the president at SMU, and Billy Embody did a hell of a job with that story, and I told you that earlier. You did. Thanks for your time with Craig and Paul and David Smoke. Was this something you kind of knew was brewing? What was it like? What was the reaction from most SMU faithful?
Appreciate you guys having me. The big thing for SMU fans was talk about knocking it out of the park. That was the immediate reaction for them when you go and get the president of UT Austin to come to SMU. And, a little bit of backstory on this. I'd kind of heard over the last couple of days that things were progressing towards a hire, but quite frankly, no one was really giving it up. And why would you when it comes to poaching, one of the top presidents in the country? Quite frankly, just what Jay Hartzell has been able to do for UT when it comes to the SEC and, facilities and coordinating a university that is at an all-time high in terms of buzz right now, at least for, a lot of people like me kind of growing up. Watching Vince Young win a national championship and just kind of watching it from that perspective. But when it comes to an administrator, this is a huge land for SMU. He was the dean of the Macomb School of Business, which SMU has just unveiled a sparkling, beautiful, brand new business school, the Cox School of Business that's been redone. So they want to also pair that renovation with a high level of commitment to really moving Cox back into the place where the leadership, in particular David Miller, the chairman of the board, want it to be. And Jay Hartzell is the man for it. I mean, you look at his enthusiasm for athletics, which is something that SMU has certainly wanted to maybe address with this hire in this new era of SMU with the ACC and all of the good things that are happening in athletics right now for SMU. They needed somebody that could take them to that next level. And I think in terms of the guys that, you could pick out, they couldn't have done any better than getting Jay Hartzell.
So obviously there was a huge athletics component to this for SMU and hiring a president who cares about athletics. Would that maybe be the key component in this because of where they are in their athletics history right now of, hey, we are putting forth money. Let's get somebody who wants to put it the right direction.
Yeah, I think it is a key. I do think this still came down to academics and the leadership in that regard for SMU, because regardless of who you kind of bring in for this next tenure and era of SMU in the ACC, as long as you brought someone in who had a general commitment to strong athletics and a general enthusiasm for it and pushing it in that right direction, preferably from a school with a strong athletics and football background, you really needed to nail the academic part of it, because SMU is in a league now where you've got your UNCs, your Dukes, your UVAs, your countless other schools that are strong academic institutions as well. And SMU has kind of seen all these new facilities and some of the great things that are happening on campus maybe not be as backed up as you would have thought in terms of the true academic notoriety that you would expect. And maybe that was there when I got to SMU back in 2010. And so it's kind of had dipped a little bit. Now I think you're seeing some of the key leadership of the school make sure that those are going to be addressed. I mean, Macomb School of Business is fantastic. SMU would like to be ahead of them in that regard. And so when you see what Jay Hartzell's done with some of the academic areas at UT and managing all-time highs in applicants and just the notoriety of that school, the academic piece was central here. You just happened to get a guy who wants to have a beer and a corny dog at on the 50-yard line of OU Texas and Texas OU, however you want to say that. And that's the type of guy I think SMU needs with this new era of athletics as well, because you need somebody who is going to push this buzz and enthusiasm that is undoubtedly around SMU right now. You need somebody who's going to push that forward, and you need somebody who's going to egg on what is going on campus right now and take that lost generation, find it, galvanize it, and push them to be the next key benefactors for this university as well, because you have your David Millers, your Bill Armstrongs, your many other people that have been kind of the key people in terms of monetary support over this ACC move. And you need to find that next era of that. And Jay Hartzell, still very much in his prime, I would say, can do that for the next 20 years, I would say.
Do you think this happens if SMU would have maybe been 7-6 or 8-5 in football?
I do. Just knowing David Miller and the Rich Templeton, being involved with this search and how aggressive they were in finding somebody that would obviously create this splash, but who is also qualified on many, many levels to be the next president of SMU and meet their standard. I think even if football had started off hot and, stumbled their way to 7-5 or 8-4, it would not have made an impact on getting Jay Hartzell. And another piece of this too is, yes, UT is a flagship. It is a massive university. It's also public. There's a lot of things that you've got to answer to, whether it be Board of Regents and political and this and that. And I don't want to get too much into that, but there's a select group at SMU that you've really got to appease. But that select group is also just so motivated to continue to push SMU forward in the right direction. And being at a smaller private school that wants to grow and also wants to be, mentioned among the UTs as far as the best schools in Texas, there's something to be said for that as well. So I think Jay Hartzell and his family upgraded in terms of all of the demands of the job as well when it comes to this move.
Would you say, and people get their egos offended or whatever, did they steal him from Texas?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I can confidently say that. I mean, this was kept under cloak and dagger for a long time. And I think talking with some just general friends of mine too, that have been able to spend time around Jay Hartzell, whether it be luncheons or, been lucky enough to be key benefactors or big enough benefactors that they get audiences with him. A couple of those people are beyond shocked that this was pulled off. I mean, even Vic Schaefer, the women's basketball coach, basically the news was broke to him on his weekly Zoom or a press conference availability, and he was just in shock. And this is not that president was kind of on the outs, or UT was looking to upgrade, so they let him go. This is SMU backed the truck up, paid him a pile of money, I'm sure, but there's also all of the aspects that I mentioned earlier when it comes to just the demands of the job and where universities and public universities are at right now. Going to a private that has some of the values that SMU has and wants to be and wants its campus to be about. This was a tremendous move for Jay Hartzell and his family to be in that environment, and it's something that they obviously wanted to do.
What do you think you see as the next steps for the athletic department with it's one thing to go all out to be in the ACC and say, we're going to do this and we're going to take these financial risks to do that without the money coming back from the TV contract on our end. But then when you do make the college football playoff, first rattle out of the box, year one, there's enthusiasm that will come with that, where some people who might have been like, okay, I'll be in a little bit, but not all that. There's probably some more enthusiasm. What's the next phase?
Yeah, for athletics, this is a pivotal time, and it's a time where you can't sit around and kind of wait for donations to come in or wait for the what's next or SMU's arrived, because that's going to have you hanging out around mediocrity. And I know Rhett Lashley, I know many of the coaching staffs on campus, they're not sitting back and letting things happen because SMU made the college football playoff. They've got to reload and get more talent. But in terms of the athletic department as a whole, there's only one way to experience, what SMU did, and you have to go through it and take all your notes and know, well, okay, we know that we fall short in this area, or we need to improve in this area, or we're really strong here. We don't have to, we just have to kind of keep that going in the right direction. And I think where Jay Hartzell can come in from his angle is, I don't think it's any secret that DKR used to kind of be a wine and cheese situation for folks to go to on game days. And now it's a party. They've got the drone shows. They've got the new expansion, the end zone complex. SMU, on a smaller scale, enjoyed a little bit of a revival on campus with, selling out Ford. Well, you see all the great venues that SMU has been able to play in this year. That leadership knows that Ford Stadium needs to be expanded at some point. They know that rev share is on the horizon. They know that NIL is still very much in play, even if your revenue sharing is happening. So Jay Hartzell needs to find out if the people in the athletic department can take it to that next level. And I think that's something he's going to evaluate very closely, because this is a period of college athletics for every school where if you can't raise money to the tip-top level, then, you might be finding yourself a new job. And I think that's the biggest area where SMU has a chance to capitalize on, is not hitting up the same people over and over again. They need to grow that loss. They need to take that loss generation, and they need to find people who are excited about what SMU is doing athletically and capitalize on it and grow their financial balance in terms of donations, because this is like you mentioned, with giving up the TV revenue, SMU is making more in TV dollars than it was in the American, just from the tiers 2 and 3 that the ACC is giving them. But you still have to compete at the highest level monetarily, and that takes a lot more money than they're getting.
Billy, we'll have you on maybe once the spring football gets going or whatever to check in, because obviously a lot of momentum for Coach Lashley and SMU football. Great stuff with the story. Good for you. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.
Anytime, guys. SMU UNC tonight at 8 Central, too.
Oh, that's right.
That's where this isn't my bedroom. This is a hotel. Yeah, ready for that as well.
Yeah, good luck. Have fun covering it. Yep, thank you very much. Billy Embody covers SMU and Ole Miss for On3 Sports, and in Chapel Hill for the North Carolina SMU men's basketball game.